In December of 2022, DreamWorks released Puss in Boots: The Last Wish to critical acclaim, and audiences, including myself, hoped that this movie would usher in a new wave of fantastic DreamWorks films. I mean, why wouldn't it? Puss in Boots 2 is clear evidence that the studio is talented and perfectly capable of telling powerful stories with stylistic flair. However, after Puss in Boots 2, they released Ruby Gillman: Teenage Kraken, which, while not getting bad reviews, was a major box office flop. Chalk it up to poor marketing, but people did not care about this movie whatsoever. They then went on to release Trolls Band Together, the atrocity that was Megamind 2. Okay, I know it technically wasn't made by DreamWorks themselves, but it is a DreamWorks property, and watching it did take 20 years off of my lifespan, so I figured I'd at least acknowledge it. Anyway, a week after Megamind 2, they released Kung Fu Panda 4, a film that I found to be completely and utterly average. By now, you're probably noticing a pattern, or rather, a lack thereof. Despite being responsible for some of the greatest animated films of all time, many fans have pointed out that DreamWorks is seemingly becoming less consistent when it comes to the quality of their films. But is this really a recent development? I'd argue that this problem has plagued them since the very beginning. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not denying that DreamWorks has made some incredible films. I adore Shrek, Kung Fu Panda, Megamind, and How to Train Your Dragon. Those films are so good that it's hard to believe that the studio that made them is also responsible for Shark Tale, The Boss Baby, and Ants. Wait a minute, Ants has a 92% on Rotten Tomatoes? I know it's been a while since I watched this movie, but I don't recall thinking that it was better than all of the Shrek movies. Okay, maybe that one. Anyway, where was I? Oh, that's right. My point is that it's easy to put on rose-tinted glasses when looking at a beloved movie studio's modern-day output when compared to their past. For example, a film that gets brought up time and time again when referring to the old DreamWorks is Shrek 2. Now don't worry, I'm not about to unleash a fiery hot take and say that Shrek 2 is bad. Shrek 2 is a fantastic film, but take a look at the films that were released before and after it, and it's easy to see that DreamWorks was still just as inconsistent then as they are today. In 2003, just prior to Shrek 2, DreamWorks released Sinbad: The Legend of the Seven Seas. The film completely bombed at the box office, grossing only $80 million. A number that doesn't sound too bad until you realize the budget for this film was about $60 million. DreamWorks nearly went bankrupt as a result of this film's poor performance. Don't feel too bad for them though, because less than a year later they released Shrek 2, and it quickly became their most profitable film ever, making nearly $1 billion. Okay, so they hit it big with Shrek 2. Did that film help them move away from painful mediocrity? Their next film was Shark Tale. The fact that this movie was somehow released between Sinbad and Shark Tale actually boggles my mind. What I find fascinating is that this pattern has repeated itself time and time again. DreamWorks puts out a mediocre film or two, and then for some reason, they decide to actually try. They casually drop a masterpiece only to say, well, that's good for now, we're taking a break. And then the cycle repeats. You think I'm joking, but think about it. We got Ants before The Prince of Egypt, B-Movie before Kung Fu Panda, and Monsters vs. Aliens before How to Train Your Dragon.
Here's your order, sir.
Thanks. That's pretty good.
Oh, what's in this? Why would you give me this and then give me a cup full of Windex?
Company policy.
Sure, it's disappointing to see them release a mediocre movie like Kung Fu Panda 4, especially after Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, but I can't help but find it funny that people are acting like DreamWorks is on the verge of destruction, as if the studio hasn't always been like this. They have always been all over the place, both critically and commercially. Okay, I know I've spent most of this video ragging on DreamWorks Animation for being so up and down over the years, but in all honesty, I think that this inconsistency might be a side effect of one of their greatest strengths. Unlike a lot of their competition, DreamWorks is willing to take risks. Say what you want about some of the movies that have been made as a result of this throw everything at the wall and see what sticks mentality, but at least they aren't content with doing the same thing over and 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 over again. Like a certain studio that will remain unnamed. Sure, some of these risks have resulted in Shark Tale, B-Movie, or Ruby Gillman, but I would rather receive the occasional turbo than watch DreamWorks go down the route that Disney's been taking, releasing soulless sequel after soulless sequel and uninspired cash grabs that merely exist to capitalize on nostalgia while offering little to no substance. Now granted, DreamWorks isn't immune to releasing the occasional sequel here and there, but I would argue that they do sequels better than most animation studios. For one, the vast majority of their sequels are creative and good enough movies to justify existing. I said a majority. But like, come on, if DreamWorks didn't make sequels, we never would have gotten Shrek 2, much less Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. Another reason why DreamWorks is usually better at making sequels than their contemporaries is that they don't solely focus on sequels. Yes, we did get Kung Fu Panda 4 in March, but we're also getting an entirely original film this year in the form of The Wild Robot, which genuinely looks amazing. Either way, whether it's a sequel or an original film, you can tell that DreamWorks truly values the characters and worlds they've built. And as a result of that fact, we have received some of the greatest film franchises of all time. Shrek, How to Train Your Dragon, Kung Fu Panda, Okay, not Megamind. There is no Megamind 2 in Ba Sing Se. So we've established that DreamWorks is consistently inconsistent, but we've also discovered that their inconsistency might be one of the things protecting them from stagnation and consistent mediocrity. But what does all this mean for the future of the studio and their animated films? Well, I would be lying if I said I could predict how good their next few films will be. DreamWorks has not, and likely never will be, predictable. But honestly, I'm not worried, because I know that even if their next film, heck, if their next couple films don't end up being my cup of tea, they will eventually bounce back with something that I absolutely adore. That being said, Shrek 5 better be good. If Shrek 5 is not good, I'm actually going to lose my mind. Sorry for that, sorry. Okay, where was I? The artists, writers, directors, and actors behind these movies are some of the most talented people on the planet. And as long as DreamWorks continues to utilize the talent and passion they possess, there will always be a reason to come back to this studio and their films. Anyway, what are your thoughts surrounding the inconsistency of DreamWorks animation? Let me know in the comments below. If you liked the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And while you're at it, go check out some of my other DreamWorks videos. Alright, I'll see you next time.